Okay, so if you have two perpendicular lines, they'll look something like this. One line going this way, another line going this way. At their intersection, a right angle is formed, a 90-degree angle. Okay? And how this reflects in their respective equations is that the two slopes will be opposite sign reciprocals of one another. Another way of putting this is that if you multiply one slope by the other, you'll get a product of -1. Okay? Or you can rewrite this as m1 equals -1 over m2. See, they're opposite sign reciprocals of one another. So if you're given two equations for two lines, we can find if they're perpendicular or not by taking their respective slopes and looking at the relationship. If the two are opposite sign reciprocals, then the two lines are perpendicular. So I'm going to rewrite these two lines in y equals mx plus b form. Dividing through by 3, I get y equals -2/3 x plus 4 over 3. And then with 6x, actually I'm going to rewrite this in y equals mx plus b form. -4y equals -6x minus 5. Dividing through by a -4, I get y equals 3 over 2x plus 5 over 4. So our two slopes, this is going to be m1 and m2, are -2/3 and 3 over 2. Clearly, they are opposite sign reciprocals of one another. Thus, the two lines are perpendicular. Another test is we can multiply the two slopes and see that we do in fact get -1. Determine whether the following lines are perpendicular or not. Okay, the first one's already in y equals mx plus b form. I just have to simplify by dividing through by 2. 5 over 2x plus 3. Okay, and this one can be rewritten as 5y equals -2x plus 5. Dividing through by 5, I get y equals -2 over 5x plus 1. So our two slopes are 5 over 2 and -2 over 5. So clearly they are reciprocals and they do have opposite signs. We can do a further test by multiplying the two and seeing it equals 10 over 10, -10 over 10, which is the same as -1. So these two lines are perpendicular. Determine whether the following lines are perpendicular or not. So the first line I rewrite in y equals mx plus b form. Dividing through by 6, I get y equals -x over 6 minus 2. The second line, I simply move the -x over to the right, and I'm in y equals mx plus b form. Dividing through by 6 again, I get y equals -x over 6 plus 9 over 6, which is the same as 3 over 2. So our slopes here are in fact identical, -x over 6 and a -x over 6. So in fact our two lines are parallel. They are not perpendicular. Determine whether the following lines are perpendicular or not. Okay, readjusting into y equals mx plus b form, the first line becomes 2y equals -x plus 12. I divide through by 2 to get y equals -1/2 x plus 6. Then in the second line, I rewrite to get -y equals -2x plus 5. Dividing through by a -1, I get y equals 2x minus 5. So my slopes, m1 and m2, are -1/2 and 2, which is the same as 2 over 1. Clearly, they are opposite sign reciprocals. I multiply the two to yield -2 over 2, which is the same as -1. So these two lines are perpendicular.